happen. They'll have Pantheon on now to the bottom lane's giving.
There it is! As you go at the stop, but John Dane's all gone. Harry with the culling, but it's just not enough damage. He needs to make a play right now. Oh, they're all low. They're all joined together. That's one, that's two. A double kill for him. A triple. Emperor's divide onto Johnny. Oh my god!
Well, what a journey it's been all the way through Split 1, and we're finally here. The last day of games for the group stage before we get into the playoffs. And ladies and gents, I could not be happier to have joined you the whole damn time. But look, before we get into the final day, let's have a look back at Wednesday and see what happened over there.
1v3 angle right now. He has the ultimate. He is 1v4. He doesn't seem to mind. Chaz is there on the retreat. He hits one with a haymaker, punches the second one to the head. Chaz is here running down Lisa with the ultimate. BioPanther literally winning the game on his own turn. Both junglers know what's happening though, and as Jungleman reveals, he's forced to disengage away. The ultimate connects, he flashes out of it. He's been smited, he's been slowed down. He's in so much trouble, and Bowman connects. The bot lane rotate up and choose fight.
Doesn't want to get slept on the tower.
He's holding it for as long as possible right now. Might just expire in a second. He might just get soloed out in the process. Oh no, Kisei! He hit the flash, just somehow connects! So, tag team duo doing what they do best. Kisei diving between multiple turrets. He doesn't care, he's now godlike.
Yeah, well played.
Do they know where I am? Stagger death time is potentially, but the collapse continues. Beats!
Ooh! Some pretty nuts games there on Wednesday. You know, we did get to see the Pentanet Peace rematch, which was absolutely poggers indeed, and looks like it could have gone either way. But look, you know, another day, and again, we are going to be joined by the Jupes and the Skimmy, who we're going to be bringing in right now. Boys, how are we feeling this wonderful, you know, thank God it's Friday?
Good.
Skimmy?
Good,
I always
mate.
go first. I'll let you go
yeah,
first.
I'm always so
Change it
used
up.
to you going first. I've got a condition in my head now that, hey, look, Juice will take lead. Now, I'm good, man. I'm excited. Final day of the season. Feels like it's blasted by, maybe because we've had that extra day per week. But playoffs around the corner, and we'll get to see really how this playoffs journey shapes up, because it's been fun to date so far.
Yeah, it's been a good time, hasn't it? What about you, Jubes? You know, how you feeling going into the final day of groups?
Well, apart from fatigued, just due to having to wake up early, it's gone quick. It's gone, I think, too quickly. I was just starting to get into the groove and starting to feel some of the things out, and then, you know, I checked the schedule, and then we're pretty much at the grand final. So,
yeah,
where the time's gone, I don't know, but time flies when you're having fun, and it's been a fun one.
Yeah, it certainly has, hasn't it? You know, lots of entertaining games throughout the first split. And look, we still got 4 more to go. So before we get into it, let's have a quick look at the standings where all the teams are currently sitting. And, you know, Jubes, any surprises here?
Nah, not really. If anything, maybe the surprise is the Chiefs being that low. Yes, they are.
Okay.
They are, you know, playoffs. They are 4th, but, you know, they are like they're 5th in reality, right, at the moment. As it stands. So I thought they would be higher. I thought they would be, you know, more contesting the likes of Peace and Direwolves, but I think they've had some lackluster games. However, everything else looks pretty stable, and it's kind of what we expected. Maybe we didn't expect the perfect split, to be honest. Maybe that's the one thing that's a surprise. 13-0 is no easy task.
Yeah, there was, you know, we did talk about it earlier on, saying, you know, Pentanet looks like it could be an absolutely banger lineup, but of course, you know, 13-0 looking like it could be going into 14-0 today. That's certainly something. Now, Skimmy, you live with the old mate Carbon, don't you?
I do.
So, how's he feeling? You know, not making playoffs. What's his thoughts?
Look, I've actually not had that conversation with him, because every time I see the casting finish, I see him, you know, in a Discord call with the rest of his squad, yarning away and talking to them. So I'm always excited if maybe, you know, we had the likes of you know, Sybil in the jungle, then you have Why Not, and I'm always wondering, hey, maybe Carbon dusts off the old gloves, gets himself into the mix of things as well. That'd be kind of interesting, but you know, probably not to be the case.
Well,
hopefully
one
game
day.
if he did that.
Oh, of course. That's probably the meanest thing I've ever heard you say, Jubes. Now, look, moving forward, we'll see what games are coming up today on this lovely Friday. We do have 4 bangers again, and to kick things off, 6 p.m. Direwolves and Chiefs. This one's going to be interesting. Last time going head-to-head, Direwolves did manage to get one of their wins when they started that win streak up again, you know, having a bit of a rough start to the competition. So we'll see how that goes when we get there. Pentanet and Gravitas, that's going to be a very difficult one for Gravitas and Pentanet. may just be able to pull some curveballs, have a bit of fun with it, but we know that they want the perfect season, so they're not going to be playing too much silly buggers. Now, 8 p.m, Order and Peace. Is there a chance that this could be an upset? I guess we'll find out then. And at 9 p.m, Mammoth and Legacy. Can Legacy find themselves a 4th win on the board, or is Mammoth finally going to get themselves a 2nd? So, you know, banger matches, standout matches. Skimmy, what's your favourite for today?
I think for me, Order versus Peace, because we talk about the standings and not too many upsets being there, but between Chiefs and Order, I think there definitely is that degree of potential and wondering, you know, how can they break themselves into that top 3 discussion. So both Chiefs and Order haven't been able to take a game away from Peace or Pensnet just yet. So I'd like to see what that would look like and if Order can cause another upset.
I'd like to see that too, for no apparent reason. But look, we got to move forward. We got to move forward. Before we get into the games, look, we have our 5 playoff teams. There is a chance that that could shuffle today. You know, the 2 bottom teams tied on 4th currently, and we're going to maybe have that head-to-head. And I think at the moment they are both 1-1. I will have to double-check that quickly. But there is a chance that there could be some tiebreakers. And in the case of a tiebreaker, you know, if it comes, we will have to have a tiebreaker match, which is going to happen tomorrow. And that's going to be interesting if we see that happen. I have a feeling, though, that I don't think we're going to see these tiebreakers necessary. I think it's going to be, you know, 1st to 5th. It's going to be nice and structured. But I guess we'll see once we do get to the end of the day, and we'll make that more of a discussion once we get there. I guess the question is, you know, what are Pensnet going to be able to do, and how do Gravitas stop them later on, Juice?
I think Gravitas, I think Pensnet have given enough tips on how to beat them. It's just up to Gravitas to execute it. I feel like week on week, Pensnet are offering advice to every single team. If you do this, you won't beat us. If you match this, you won't beat us. But I think Gravitas have a few niche picks that they play, as well as some volatile lanes in which they might be able to exploit to take that one. You know, we must remember, the hardest game Pensnet has had all split was against Legacy, who aren't the highest ranking team. So any chance for an upset for sure. You know, maybe Pensnet just rise to the level of the opponent that they're versing.
Really, I hope that happens. It'll make it very interesting. You know, that's going to be the 2nd game of the day. But look, let's look at the key picks for supports again. Now, have a look. These are our key picks in the LCO. We've got Rel, Thresh, Alistair, and Rakan there. We've got a question from the producer quickly as well. And overseas, Leona has been one of the highest picked band rate supports, but we have not seen any playtime for Leona here. So, Jubes, do you want to tell me why you think that is?
I think it's partially because Thresh doesn't get banned. Thresh is very good, like, laning-wise into the Leona. You flay pretty much all of the engage from Leona, obviously, if you time it correctly. And then, you know, when it comes to out-of-laning phase, most Threshers stay out of vision, offer the Lantern support. They're able to Lantern to safety most times when Leona engages. So it's kind of like Thresh isn't getting banned all of the time, and it is quite a, you know, first pickable champ at the moment. And then once Thresh is given away, you don't really want to blind Leona or take Leona into that lane. And much as the same as Alistair. Alistair just seems to be more of a priority than the Leona. So I think that in OS in particular, we're not really pinching the support champion pool. Therefore, Leona doesn't really have the opportunity to shine, doesn't have the opportunity to be picked at a later time.
Yeah. I think a lot of it's been the handshaking between the Rel and the Alistair, given their little interaction. Fresh, as you say, you know, hook aside, just offers so much more with the Lantern to start off initiations, bait out with Flays to sort of cancel animations. And then you're talking about, you know, the likes of Leona and Nautilus that have usually been in that category of aggressive supports that can get countered out, or say, look, we'll just play Seraphine if it's available, given that it can be a big flex all across the map. So I think OS, as it always has had its own take on things, draws inspiration from the rest of the world and those 4 major regions, but definitely adds its own take on things.
Well, look, that's the key picks in the support position. But look, we got some key plays, I guess, coming out from the viewers at home. You know, it is from the fans, and, you know, if you've got any sick clips, please send them in. You know, at LCO, hashtag LCO, throw them up, and well, I guess we'll just get Jubes to cast him, because, look, he loves it, and he's very damn good with it.
Extremely warm up.
Warm up for the day.
We're going to jump into it.
So we do have a clip ready, actually. So, you know, get the voice box cranking, and Jubes, you know, take us away.
All right, so far, I don't know which clip. I'm watching Zambu. Zambu's on the set. Maybe we're doing a little bit of a Biopanther cosplay, but here we are. He rips the Darius back. suplexes, I'm going to call it, into the haymaker on 0 health, gets the triumph, and the Jax just does not have a real weapon, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll just watch that replay again. Played to a T here from Zambish. You think he's going down here. Suplex out of the Jax stun. Outplayed, goes down. And the Darius, honestly, what are you doing, champion? Bit unlucky, but what are you doing, mate? One more auto attack, one more ulti there. What are you doing, buddy?
You know what's funny about that clip, Juice, is I actually played a game with Zambus and Aram earlier today. Yeah, I actually played a game with him earlier today. Just, randomly queued up. He said, LCO? I'm like, yeah. And then he's an absolute patriot. I was about to get a pentakill as a Kindred. He dived into the Phantom to ensure I got it. So, I'm glad to see you going from there to getting your moment to shine in the spotlight as well.
What a champion. And look, if you guys at home, please feel free to send in your sick clips, and Jubes is probably going to cast them before the end of the night. You know, we love your content at LCO, hashtag LCO. Throw them up on Twitter. We'll bring them in. And look, it doesn't even have to be a clip. You got some funny memes. You want to just tell us how good we look or how bad we look or how bad of a job I'm doing, as always. You know, please just let us know. We'll put it up. And I can either roast you back or just accept, the grave defeat. Now, let's move forward. It is time to talk about the first game. We got Chiefs and Direwolves coming up. And
big
boys, which way do you think this one's going to go? Because Direwolves are on a hot streak right now, Juice.
Yeah, Direwolves are on a hot streak, but their streak is still leaving a bit of a trail, if you know what I mean. I don't even know if I know what I mean. But I mean in the sense that they're winning games and they're winning them quite quickly in the end, but there are some points in the game where it gets a little dicey. And where it looks like, if they weren't that good individually or if they weren't head and shoulders above who they were versing, they were potentially in for a bit of trouble. Now, this is why I'm excited for this matchup, because I really feel that if Direwolves have that hiccup or that little stumble in the road, then they're in for a rude awakening where they just can't afford to give away those opportunities or those windows for teams to get back into the game, because Chiefs are too good to be able to punish that.
Very true, very true. But the thing is, look, you've actually asked me, who are these players on Direwolves? And I think there's some people in Twitch chat as well that have, said, who are these guys? Never heard of them. So we've actually prepared a very good profile video for you guys to get to know Direwolves.
We've all come from teams that have either won or made finals. We just have such an experience gap in our roster. We've played against some of the best players across the years. We just know how to learn, and we know how to improve, I think, better than a lot of these rookie teams do. Only's
looking for it right now, puts 2 members to sleep right now. That's simple cut out position. In comes Gallo, there to protect, there to buff, and there to shield. Voidseeker hits onto one, but that might not be the target they're after. Now Winter finds himself out of position. Rel on the flank as well as Clay takes him down with the ultimate.
I think we're a pretty experienced team, so we sometimes have discipline, but also sometimes we just let ourselves go and play pretty chaotic.
Being able to induct one play and have all 5 players on the same page, I feel like this is something really lacking between the other teams. The gap between the top 3 teams and the rest of the league is sort of bigger than I imagined.
To beat PGG, I don't think it will take too much spice. I just think it will take consistency from all the boys across the board. At the moment, a lot of us play 7 out of 10, and then one of us will have a bit of a roughie. And I'm not saying it's one person every game, it's all of us. We take our turns with the int. I just need all of us to not int. And if we all play consistently, I think we will definitely be, that will be the game for us. We can take the dub from PGG.
Both games we had quite good early games. We just kind of made small fumbles and some blunders against them. So I think they're the tougher teams.
I think I definitely have been feeding in a lot of scrims. I want to say it's because I'm playing a new role and I don't know my limits in the lane and on my champions, but maybe that's just me in general as a person. Maybe I do a lot of crazy stuff and just end up feeding a lot. So right now it's me for sure. By the end of the year, it's not going to be me. You can count on that.
He's had what I would say a pretty rough start. He himself knows that, and he's been quite down in the early weeks about his performances. But then recently he whips out Nah, has a huge performance, practically carries the game for us against Peace.
Maelstrom damage to Leak, and they find the killing blows clear on the flank. It's a 1-for-1 so far. But the Direwolves, they're just too strong. They continue to hit skill shots. They continue to fight.
Brandon finally having a pop-off game against one of the top teams shows that we're here, what's up? We can actually compete with the top teams.
Anyone who's watching the LCO in 2021, I think you're a loyal fan, and it'll be a good year. I think we're going to rebuild from the start. I think it'll be fun, and continue supporting us. I appreciate you all.
We've had a rough start, and I know some people have doubted us, but for the people that are still there and still supporting, I really do appreciate all the love we can get, and I hope we can give you guys those wins that we're grinding and chasing for, every week. So really appreciate it.
Well, there you go. I hope that you all at home now have gotten to know the Direwolves and how they at least recognise that they were inting at the start of the season, and that consistency is getting better. So, Jupes, any thoughts on Direwolves as a team? I guess we'll just go into chatting them first.
Yeah, no, they've definitely, everything that they say, I think they hit the nail on the head. Shock even touched on them being a little bit chaotic, a little bit disciplined at times, but then also lose their discipline, which is what we talked about prior to that. And that just individual performances have been getting better week on week on week. And it is a team with a lot of experience, but it also is a team that maybe took a little bit of a break from competitive League of Legends, right? Well, only one member in particular, but you always just got to shake the rust off and get match fit again. So we're starting to see that from the Direwolves.
It's been a very good run for them recently, hasn't it, Skimmy? And some of these players really starting to come into their own, namely Claire. He's finding a couple of champs and starting to, play that Nah, play that Camille, the more dominant top laning champs.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the recent run of form, they've only dropped one game out of the last 8 played, which is really impressive. If you're talking about the caliber of opponents you're going up against, we're sort of seeing this bit of a mismatch in the power spikings, or sorry, the power rankings of teams that find themselves in first and second, and the rest of the mess as we've coined it. So if you're taking these games, the end result is all that they're going to be after. Yes, you could nitpick and look at some of their mid games and say what's going on. You're trading multiple kills, always trying to force your hand where you find an advantage, and sort of making that 50-50 gamble, which teams can be kind of risk averse of from time to time. But I'm sure at the end of the day they'll be content. Look, it's a best of one. We just want to get ourselves the best placement possible, get ourselves into those playoff best of 5s, and showcase our true experience and discipline there.
I think the dynamic between Direwolves and Chiefs is just very interesting. They're both those sort of, I wouldn't say middle of the table teams anymore, but they've both made the playoffs. And last time we got to see them go head to head, it was pretty damn close for a good 20 minutes before it ended up starting to get a bit one-sided. Baron team fight end, and that's exactly what happened. So, do you think today, Jubes, we're going to see the same thing coming out of Chiefs? Just keeping neck and neck, and then maybe falling flat, or are they going to be able to get some revenge?
Well, I think that's the hard thing to predict about the Chiefs, is that it feels like when they win, they make a very good game of it, and when they lose, they sort of roll over. At least from the top-end teams, right? The game ends quite quickly. And it's not what we expect when we see the caliber of names on their teams, and I think they're almost in the same situation of Direwolves, where they'll all be ramping up towards the latter half of the split, which is now, obviously, but I think they'll get better even, Split 2 as an example. So I think this game will be quite a competitive one. I think it'll be even more competitive than what we saw the last time around. But I could cast the cursor, and I really hope I don't. But I think as a team, the Chiefs are really figuring themselves out in terms of a draft dynamic. I think a lot of the time in the games that they lost, they completely whiffed in pick ban. And I know we like to not harp on it, but I think, at a certain point, when it is that bad, you got to mention it. And I think they're really figuring out what works for them now. Draku on the engaged champions, Mboma on traditional 80 carries, Kisei on the real mechanic mid lanes. So I'm excited to see what draft they pull out today.
Yeah, I mean, on that note, it's actually worth touching on the fact that, between mid, jungle, as well as top lane, they've not actually played the same champion twice in the last 8 games. So they're just trying out so much, really trying to hone that identity as you talk about. And I've been really impressed with Lidge. He came into this roster maybe overshadowed by a few of these other names and sort of what their goal was, but he's really been proving that, hey, I'm coming into my own, don't take me too lightly, and it should be an interesting matchup between himself and Claire.
It's the battle of the role-swapping top laners, which I think is the storyline we had a quick chat about the first time these two teams went head-to-head. So I feel like this is a great time as well. Final day of the groups. We get to see them going head-to-head and see how far they've come throughout Split 1. So let's bring Nat back into the conversation. She's down on the side lanes. You got a couple of snappy chappies down there. Who'd you manage to find?
I was lucky enough to dig up a Draku and Shock. Thank you both so much for joining me. You know, this is the last game of the regular season and, you know, a pretty big impact potentially for the seeding. So, Draco, how are Chiefs feeling coming into this one? We saw you guys, you know, say that you did a lot of prep over the weekend and it's kind of showing, so I'm sure there has to be some amount of confidence.
Well, like every single week, we take every game the same, and I guess we're just looking forward towards playoffs. But yeah, this game, we just want to see how we match up against Direwolves.
Is there anything you're hoping to prove or to show to the viewers at home?
Not really, because I already know that I'm one of the best supports, so there's not really anything I want to prove.
Okay, I like the confidence. Shock, what about Direwolves? How's the atmosphere for the team down there, you know, sitting in at 3rd position so far?
Yeah, I think everyone's really happy to be in that like 3rd and above position. It makes a really big difference in playoffs where you get the extra chance and like time to play a lot of games, and you can really like level up over the course of the playoffs. There's just so many games, and especially compared to the regular season right now where there's like barely any games at all. So it's a really good opportunity being in that 3rd and above position in playoffs.
Is there anything you're hoping to prove in the last game before we head on to like best of 5s?
I wouldn't say so. Not really. I think, I guess maybe the only thing would be like we're kind of proving to ourselves that we've become like a solid, well-rounded team. I feel like Chiefs are the kind of team that they have like this one-dimensional style, which isn't necessarily bad because there've been a lot of like successful one-dimensional teams, but it means that I think within that there's like a lot of like dice rolling or a lot of like chance. So if you're a really solid team, then you don't give Chiefs many windows, but I'm not sure if we're at that level yet. So we'll see if they make an upset or not.
This could be the game to go both ways, either solidify the strength of Direwolves or the upset for Chiefs. I do want to ask, Drake, you guys did lose the last time you guys came up against Direwolves. What do you think were some of the downfalls and takeaways that you have from that game?
I guess Direwolves, they're just really good at scaling, and Cupcake definitely outperformed me around the map, and the Tarek pick was really unexpected. We didn't prep for it. So yeah, like they caught us off guard, but I think that this would be a really good game.
I mean, that's definitely something to look forward to for this game. The last question I do have, I'll start with you, Draku, but I'll ask both of you, is what game or moment are you probably the most proud of or have enjoyed the most in regular season?
Shock, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. I think for me, my favorite games were the ones where I was playing Lucian. Before this year, I never played Lucian at all, but it's like a champ I really wanted to learn in the off-season, and I played like 200 or 300 games on him. And I think now I'm definitely the best mid Lucian in OC, so I was like really happy to bring it out and play it on stage.
Oh, I love that so much. You know, really showed a lot of progress. So what about you, Draku?
My favorite game was probably my Soraka game, because I don't know, I just got to be an e-girl and I like playing e-girl champions. But my favorite moment was probably when I flashed over the wall as Ro and got like a 4-man R. But yeah.
I would say that's a pretty proud moment. But thank you both so much for joining me, and good luck with your last game of the regular season.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, Shock.
That's so cute. Bye, Shock.
That was beautiful. I love how, you know, when Draku's super happy with the answer that he gave, she'll just go, it just, you know, the double thumbs up. Just look straight at the camera.
That was good. PR was good.
That was golden. That was a bloody great interview. Now, look, we've actually got a surprise, and someone suggested on Twitter that before we jump into the predictions, because I am actually the people's champ, I get double points today. What are your thoughts on this one, Juice?
You can have triple points with how far down you are.
Yeah, I agree to that one. I agree to that one.
Yeah, go for it, mate.
Cool.
I like it.
You can have double points.
Let's see how many underdog predictions I get today. And
Fun fact, that's actually Mac on a burner account trying to catch up.
I'm not allowed to Smurf, all right? We saw that Smurfs are getting banned around the world now soon,
That's
so
a different game.
who knows? Different game, but could move across, so I guess we'll see. Anyway, let's have a look at the predictions. Let's see where we've all leaned, and it looks like, oh, Jubes, you've actually joined me on the Chiefs journey here.
Juice doesn't get double points, though, if Chiefs win. I want to clarify, it's only Mac here. It's not if the underdogs win.
Okay. Well, Nat, you're doing all right, actually.
Thank you.
I wasn't expecting you to be on the 40 bomb. Tell you that much.
Thanks.
So, Jubes, you have to have the full 4 correct
For the 50,
prediction
yeah.
day today to hit the 50.
Oh, you're going with Chiefs, mate.
So you've
if
gone for a
Chiefs-
risky one.
Yeah, if Chiefs let me down at the end of the day, I know what team I'm not supporting in Split 2.
Ooh,
That's for
what about-
sure.
Or even playoffs, maybe? Still got
Oh
a
yeah,
couple of games
playoffs.
there.
Playoffs. I did forget about playoffs. I did forget about playoffs.
Did you forget playoffs or the Chiefs made it?
How have you forgotten about playoffs? That's what we're doing. That's what we've been doing for the last 5 weeks.
I never
Get
made
ready for
playoffs much
playoffs.
as a player, so that's
Ah,
I just my season ended after this week. So then my brain has been conditioned to ignore everything that happened after the regular season. So of course, like in my mind, it's just the safety. It's like a safety wall. I put up a wall and I can't get hurt that way.
Look, I went for the prediction because, not only am I picking the underdogs, but I actually believe Chiefs, it's pretty close in this matchup as well, and they've had a couple of rough weeks, so it'd be really good for them if they manage to end groups on a high, with a win. So I'm hoping that they're going to be able to, back up my prediction and get themselves done. Now, let's have a quick chat about how great esports assessment labs are, because we love to assess ourselves and see where we're at in our daily lives with our reaction time. Very important there. A couple of left to right good night. I've been hitting the punching bag at the gym a little bit lately. Just making sure the reaction time is looking good. My mental game, it's taken a bit of a hit playing League lately, and I just need to, sometimes whack it out. But look, to keep yourself in check, use esports assessment labs. You can see where you're at, where you're going,
I do want to
where
say
you've been.
something
Yes?
about Esports Assessment Lab. Did end up doing it. If you're from my work, just turn the broadcast off now, but I did do it when I was at work the other day. And I would like to say, I compared with Rusty and my reaction times are better than him.
Oh,
Wow.
there you go.
Wow.
Rustdog.
I
Yep.
think you're a couple of years younger than Rusty, It could just be the young bones.
Maybe, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to take that as a win.
Claimed.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, ladies and gents, that brings us to game number 1 of the final day. It is Chiefs and Direwolves. Boys, takes into Champ Select.
Well, there we go, Juice. It's been a historical matchup as the years have gone by, and we'll get to see what this actually means for the context going into playoffs. The Chiefs looking for that victory up against Direwolves. Direwolves managed to take them down last time, and we're actually going to stick to the same picks and bans with Direwolves taking red side.
Yeah, and Thresh being taken away too. They're not something that Cupcake wants they want Cupcake to grab, because he does take it first pick if it's left up to him. The Karthus ban, another one targeted towards Only. He's one of like the... we haven't seen Only play Karthus in the LCO yet, I believe.
We haven't,
Or
no.
maybe one game, but even so, he's like the OG, one of the OG Karthus players, like to bring it into competitive, and
Yeah.
he's still one of the only ones that really puts a lot of time into it in solo queue, so definitely a good ban away from him. Now, the one thing I want to talk about here, Skimmy, is like the Hecarim pick,
Yeah.
I think is S tier in general, but in this particular game, Only hasn't showed us much of like an Udyr, right? He opts in for the Lilia side, which sometimes can like force your hand in terms of pick ban, in terms of what Direwolves have to pick now to then make it a fully functioning composition. So I think not that it's a champion pool problem, I think it's more of a playstyle Direwolves have opted in for. And as I said that, this might be the first time, is it the first time we see it
is.
only on Udyr?
It is, yeah. You're absolutely right.
And
This
that's
is the
what
first
I was
time.
curious about. Yeah, exactly. Now, goes one of two ways, right? We haven't seen him play it. Is it for a particular reason? Is it because he's not comfortable on the champion? It's not doesn't suit his style, and that's why there was question marks. And I think this so far is a good pick ban for Chiefs.
It's been pretty much consistently banned against Direwolves, worth noting, 38% of the time across all their games. There has been the option for it to be picked up, but they've just decided to go against it. So we'll get to see where they round out this draft, because as much as you're talking about, the fact of having that, desirable mid-jungle duo, we saw what happened to the Chiefs when they played their last game, where they had a comp that was, predominantly AD, right? You said that they needed the snowball. So you hate to fall into those kind of pitfalls so early on. Another pick here from Mboma, one of the only players to bust out the Ezreal so far, had great success in it, continues to fuel this idea that if he is left to his own devices, that he can farm quite safely. And then Kisei, after a great performance, forget about the mid-Lilia pick, forget about their first blood. After that, he was definitely the one to showcase us that the montage was there in the making.
I don't mind the Yone pick here, but I would have liked to have seen the Chiefs take away the Zoe. Not because I think Zoe's in an S tier part, but I do think that when you come up against a player, and we probably won't see the Zoe locked in here, so that's fine. But when you come up against someone who you're confident that you're better than as a mid laner, and a lot of mid laners in the league are saying Shock is the best, but when you're coming up against a player like Shock, do you want to give him like a skill gap champ? One where if you're better than your opposition, you're going to take over the game completely. Yep. Whereas like if you pick, Orianna Victor matchup, if you're slightly better, it's not really going to show for too much besides like a CS lead, but you can ultimately still team fight as Kisei, right? Whereas like Zoe, if you give Zoe a lead, she just takes over vision control, you can't walk into the river anymore, and she does really 1v9 a game. And so, the last few games, Shock has just picked Zoe and just completely 1v9'd in scenarios where maybe they should have lost. Yep. So interesting to see if that one gets taken away in the second phase here.
Yeah, as you say, he's played it in the most recent 2 games and really showcasing that have got the mechanics. If you look at some of his stats coming to this one, the highest XP differential by 10 minutes, same for the CS Gold. You name it, he'll be able to find that solid, strong lead, which has been so essential for allowing Direwolves to phase themselves into those mid-game moments. Worth noting a couple of these bans. Silas, very strong given the Alistair, first of all, allowing him to run members down and be very tanky. Obviously, Chiefs already have composed a very dive-heavy composition, so remove that first of all. Based on Traku's comments there about being an Eagle, maybe remove the Yuumi as well. But then the Zillion is probably one that catches me off a little bit here.
Yeah, it's weird. Zillion is Shock bread and butter. He said it's not really great.
Pick, but is it strong given the other options that are available?
Look, the problem with one tricks that then become like professional players is that it was never strong when they became a pro player. Like Zillion was never, there's probably a small period where Zillion was like S tier, or like not even S tier, just good, right? Playable. But they're just so good at the champion, and you've never played against it, that like the ratios in itself don't matter too much, as the Zoe's going to get picked up. The ratios in itself of Zillion don't matter too much. It's that you don't know how to play against it, how to pilot against the champion, how to team fight against the champion, so it's a headache you don't need to have.
Yeah.
And as we said that, he got his hands on the Zoe, and like I said, it's something that I think he'll take into any matchup. Any matchup in mid lane, Shock will take Zoe if he's given the chance. And, we've seen him have some absolute blinders on that champion.
It's interesting. It certainly is interesting to have that much respect thrown your way, because there were so many good picks available with the Zoe, Orianna, Syndra. So once again, Shock's going to find himself in a very comfortable champion. There is the Galio, as you quite rightly put. So the ability to try and play cross-map and try and target those side lanes to continue this assisting of a dive composition that the Chiefs have. And the fifth and final pick now. Interesting to see where it will go, what it will be. It could be a Galio support. Could be.
The one thing I think that teams are doing very well against Chiefs as well is that they're actually banning away Silas. Because Lived used to be a mid laner, and one of his most comfortable champions is the Silas. Obviously a champ that can be played in the top lane too, that then breaks up the comp, gives them an AP threat. Now they have the Sion, they have the Galio. They don't really have, again, that they have really good champs. So it may save them in that sense where, you got the Sion, you got the Yone, you got the Hecarim. You have some very good champions in terms of tier lists. However, the damage is still all the same. It's mainly physical damage coming out. And you have to think, if Camille gets ahead, Udyr gets ahead, Alistair gets ahead, then they're just going to be pretty much unkillable frontline, while the Sivir just free hits, the Zoe free hits, and could be some dramas for Chiefs. But what we saw from them the last game, they're able to execute this composition. They're not going to fall behind, and they're going to run away with the lead. So I don't mind it. We'll see how Kisei performs, because a big part of this game is going to be on his shoulders.
Certainly will be, and I suppose if you talk about comfort, it's going to be comfort between the two mid laners to try and find themselves that killing edge. Really going to be curious about this jungle matchup, as you correctly pointed. Hecarim to start things off with, no surprises there, but the Udyr, not a champion we've seen come out from the Direwolves just yet. So how are they going to play around that? We've seen this big tendency to go for the Lilia, get a snowboarding lead, you know, find moments where you've got that stopwatch, the zone, you're flashing in, trying to hard force that fight and thinking what would have happened maybe if you let your side waves continue to build up, get turret plates, get more, you know, map pressure on the board. So as a whole, Jubes, do you think the Udyr direction is a welcome change?
I don't mind it, but it's also scary, right? It's like, let's see what Only's about. Because he's always about those like high move speed, but high damage, high mobility champions, right? Like you think of him as like the Kindred, Nidalee, Graves player. They all have they're very similar playstyles. Udyr has a tempo farming type playstyle too, but it is also a very different way in which you play team fights. You know, you have to be able to identify which target to put the CC on, how deep is too deep, because you're also going to have to kite back on your carries. And it's sometimes you fall in love with the idea that you're an Udyr, that you're a tank, and you just hold the bear stance button and run into the backline and just get one shot. So it's going to be a different train of thought for Only. Not one that I don't think he can do, but just genuinely a different playstyle and a different thing to look at in team fights.
And speaking of different playstyles, you know, we welcome back the Camille in top lane here for Claire. He's had his, you know, fun in the sun as a tank, maybe even the Gragas, but that's, you know, much to be considered a tank for the most part as well. The carry side lane targeting now is the continued evolution of his own branding on how he wants to be known as a top laner going throughout 2021. And given that, you know, Lift has been, for the most part, quite content playing the tanks himself, he's shown that he can play the Camille too. That's why I drew attention to it in the pre-game there. I'm excited to see how this top lane matchup fares around.
Well, Sion generally wins most matchups early, right? Or if not wins, minimum goes even. And that's why Sion's so strong, because eventually you just scale up into a tank. But yeah, it would be a nice little skill check, nice little skill battle in the top lane.
Certainly will do. And as we get ourselves ready for game number 1, I do believe we have a coach interview on standby as we welcome back the coach of the Chiefs, Ian Cooden. How are you?
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, Mike, how are you, buddy?
Hey, buddy.
Yeah,
Good.
how you going, man? Good? Yeah.
Good.
Hey, Mike, tell me, you're not scared about an all AD composition? Because the last 2 games, I feel like you've really drafted the all AD route. Talk to me about this comp you have and how you think it fares into theirs.
Oh, it does look like all AD, but all the champs that we picked have some magic damage, though. So it's actually deceptive.
So you reckon you're a bit of a magician there in the pick ban phase?
And you know, yeah. And also Sion can reduce people's armor, so I want go ahead and build armor and see what happens. And there's only Udyr, I guess, and I can build it.
Yeah, so Mike, talk to me about this game in general. Are you looking at a bit of a revenge type game, or are you just trying to build and see what happens
revenge.
for playoffs?
I want my damn revenge right now. I want to smash these guys. This is a preview of playoffs. I want these guys to know we're better than them. They got lucky the first. I trolled the last time. We've improved 100-fold last time. This is revenge. Revenge.
No,
this is definitely revenge.
What do you mean by you trolled? What do you mean by you trolled the last time? What was the? Do you mean pick ban or?
Yeah, I didn't like the draft last time, but I think I'm happy today. A lot happier.
Happy today, you reckon? Yeah. And Mike, you know, it's the end of the split, right? Well, nearing the end of the split, playoffs time. What would you like to say to, you know, all of the Chiefs fans that have supported you? And Mike, I will say you do have quite a lot of fans. They are a big fan of your interviews. So. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people say,
Twitch
Mike
loves
on.
you, mate.
I appreciate
exactly.
it.
So,
I mean, at the end of the day, we're all here. Not many of us are here to watch the game for we're all here for the entertainment, right? And I'm just here. I'm for the people. I'm here for the people.
You're a man of the people.
I give back. You guys want entertainment? I'm here for it. I'm here to provide it to you guys. No worries.
Maybe we'll get you on broadcast, Mike. Is that it?
Super sub, bring him in.
Maybe.
All right, well, Kieran, thank you for your time.
Right,
we're going to go back to the game, see how your team's
one last
doing.
thing.
All right, but I might cut you off if it's...
I want Lily Patty to cheer for me from now on if we win this game.
All right, Mike, see you later, buddy.
Yep.
There you have it.
Coach of the Chiefs,
A
ladies
champion
and gentlemen.
amongst all, really.
Yeah.
I mean, you hard carried the conversation there, Jubes. You know how you get through it all, Mike, and give the people what they want.
Yeah, you got it. Look, I've played on a team with Kuden, and I've been around with him for a very long time. So, you know, he's a good guy, funny guy, knows what he's talking about. So I'm happy to see him coaching a team like the Chiefs. And, you know, he's happy with this pick ban. And I have to say, you know, he's talking about the AP ratio some of these champions have. Sure, they do. But we might see an all-in here. Okay.
So might. Ooh, nice little shift away. Yeah, Cupcake definitely was looking for that all-in that you're highlighting. Had the ignite. So had the ability to go for it. Worth noting in the bottom lane that Gunkrab has gone for the lethal tempo, so no Dark Harvest poke build here today. Has also opted for the teleport, no summoner heal. So triple teleport angle from the Direwolves, really looking to try and play this map.
Yeah, people always really opt in for the teleport into Ezreal lanes because it's not particularly a champion. Ooh.
Claire is being chunked at something
flash?
chronic right now. He's gone
Might
for the
be
Doran's
dead.
Blade as opposed to Doran's Shield. He's lethal. One order would have done it. Liv will not follow. Had Afterlife. Potentially could have gone for that one, but decides not to.
I thought maybe could have traded their 1-for-1 at the very least, and it would have been worth it because the wave that lived would have got under tower with the Scion passive. However, it is also fine to play safe. And that's what we have here. So Liv showing his dominance in the top side of the map already. The one thing that I wanted to touch on before the 1v1's interrupted, a lot of the time people don't engage onto an Ezreal in early lane just because he's just going to Arcane Shift away, right?
Yeah.
But Arcane Shift, relative to Ezreal's base mana, takes out quite a lot. So if you're forcing Arcane Shifts every 18 seconds or whatever the cooldown is, then ultimately you're sending Ezreal Ezreal's first base is going to be far less impactful, and you're going to put Ezreal in a position where he ends up behind, and Ezreal as a champion doesn't function too well from behind because you do end up opting in for a build that requires somewhat of a snowball effect, if you will.
Yeah, I think that's always been a problem that we've seen over the years, right, with Ezreal, that he is rather mana reliant, and those power spikes, those first few items, at least have to be invested into Sheen and Tier and so on. And if you're looking at, what your opposition can sometimes go for, the likes of Pickaxe, Noon, Quiver, and so on, that just gives them that extra trading potential. So, Mboma, no doubt, looking to try and justify that mana buff by playing from range and making life difficult for the likes of Cupcake and Gunkrab. But as far as the laning state goes, it seems to be Direwolves that are trying to gain control of this bottom half river, keeping tabs as to where Swaif is. He gets chunked out a little bit, not level 6 just yet, but getting closer.
Hey, all things considered too, when we talk about when we saw at least what happened in top side of the map with Claire very early on, you have to say he's done a pretty good job. Like, he's up 12 CS, and Liv was the one that had control of the lane state for the most part. Also, keep in mind the wave is bouncing towards Claire, so he's going to pick up even more minions. Sleep was there, but now, Skimmy, this reminded me the other day with Yone. I'm not 100% certain if this happens with Bubble. But with Lilia Sleep, if you time the Yone dash or the E perfectly, you're able to negate the sleep. So keep your eyes on if a bubble lands, if he's able to do that.
We can see some eye clipping or eye framing to try and juke out things. We'll have to wait and see as it does start for this one. It will be Chiefs actually commit a TP down bot side to guarantee themselves that first dragon. And I suppose going back to your original point there, Jubes, the fact that, Claire lost that trade so heavily top side, had to burn double summoners just to come back to wave that was crashing in, and he's unable to match.
But that's huge there, Skimmy. Sorry to ignore your point, but just quickly, Shock's flash just got burned off camera.
That makes life a little bit more difficult in two different lanes now. Even CS, but it will be only that runs into top side river, guarantees at least one bit of vision. They've got the crab there now. Someone's been burnt, Jubes.
Yeah.
Someone has definitely been burnt. The pressure is on, and this is kind of fitting to the Chiefs' name. They want to be in your face. They want to be aggressive. Direwolves want to respond. They want to do whatever they can now to try and take on towards Mboma. There's going to be first bloods, and shift or not, no flash burn, and Mboma falls down.
Not entirely sure how they ended up in that situation. We didn't get to see the full extended version of that trade, but obviously Mboma didn't have the Arcane Shift, didn't feel necessary to use the flash, and you also run into the problem now that that Gunkrab on Siva, who scales far better than the Ezreal, is also ahead in lane with teleport. One less aggressive summoner spell in lane, but also winning the lane now and still having teleport. So he eat aggressively for the trade onto Alistar. You have to expect the combos coming on through. So well played from Cupcake. Very big misplay from Mboma there.
That's a rough situation now, as Jungle was nowhere in the area. That's a straight up 2v2. Kill found here by Direwolves. The kill does go across to Cupcake, so there's a slight saving grace to it, but it doesn't mean that he can rush those Moby Boots. Just a fraction quicker now to try and keep up tempo on the map and be a menace to match what we've seen the Chiefs do already, and no doubt Draku will have that ability to chase if need be with his own ultimate, but 9 minutes in, and it's a promising start.
Definitely promising, and the Direwolves just right now, I just feel like they have much better laning. Like, you look at the top side, lived out of mana, really can't do anything in this lane anymore until he gets the reset, no TP available. You know, Shock doing completely fine in this mid lane matchup with his flash burnt, and bot lane just has all the summoners up, and as well as the teleport, so gotta be happy. Thought he might actually opt in for all in there. Ultimate's coming off cooldown soon, lived. Maybe not enough mana.
It wasn't too far away, so as you say, it might have been just banking up that mana as much as he can, trying to get him as close to lethal. And buying his time, maybe get to see a rotation go that side of the map. Worth noting also, in the meantime, that only managed to pick up the first Herald, so make a bit of a trade on the cross-map objectives. Out comes the taunt now, that's going to be Draku roaming. Looking to try and put some attention on towards the Alistair. A stun connects, that's going to be Galio going to sleep, down to 50% now. Ignite is ticking, only looking to try and take him down single-handedly. Flashes on his head, slaps him with the claw, and takes him down. Here's the ultimate now from Swaif. And that's 2 people being locked in place as a result. Easy pickings for Kisei after all is said and done. The carry showing up, but it's the carries from the Direwolves that will end this fight and give Gunkrab a double.
I mean, there's just a bot lane gap at the moment, right? In the sense that this is just all an extension of the 2v2 solo kill. Gunkrab was able to get a free reset, get the kill, get the priority in lane, and it is just going from bad to worse for the side of Chiefs. And, you know, maybe you have to say, Skimmy, this has been the most questionable part for the Chiefs at the moment. It's the bot side of the map in terms of how they've been laning, and have a look at this here. There's nothing wrong with this until Gunkrab moves up, right? Potentially all we see here is a 1-for-1, and, you know, worst case scenario, you just walk it out from here on out. But the fact that Gunkrab makes it there, he's able to put in so much work, so much damage, like picks up the kill there, and he's actually doing a lot of damage for a Sivir. I mean, you never want to see your Sivir be doing that much this early into the game. Essence Reaver picked up as well, so dangerous, very dangerous.
It is interesting, as you touch on, what that means now for the rest of the map, because they're going to have to bear the burden as a result of this one. 2v1 topside, looking to try and take down Liv, who has his flash, has his ult, but feels quite content to hold on to both and just force out the attention of the Direwolves more than anything. Not too long to go on this Herald, as only is teasing the idea of deploying it on a particular side of the map to guarantee the most bonuses and plates possible.
And you start to look at this game and you think about how all the lanes of Direwolves just have priority now.
Yeah.
It's just so hard to play the game as a jungler, and look at that. Like, that's the perfect example of why it's so hard.
Oh no. Swaif kind of rulking his own jungle right now. 1v3 collapse. Out comes the Galio, falling from the sky, doing whatever he can. Hits nobody, gets put to sleep straight away as the taunt goes out. Cancels that connection. Gunkrab's here again, and it's a numbers mismatch that does favor Direwolves. Off-screen, Clear gets the solo kill, kills him with the Hextech ultimatum, and watches from afar as the clone trims down the wave. And you said it, Jubes, it's just presence and priority across the board.
Yeah, top lane solo bolo, and this is what we were talking about. There's always just throwing bubbles over Raptor Wall, and Gunkrab's just going to taunt that one out. So, I mean, use the spell shield rather. But it's just so hard as a jungler. Well, okay, let me rephrase that. You don't have a jungler. When you have 3 losing lanes like this in terms of priority, as well as, like, you know, kill-death ratio, you don't have a jungler. Because your jungler doesn't have jungle camps, i.e. the Raptor's getting stolen there, and then he's just getting engaged on by 3 members. Like, it's just a multi-man roam squad because...
On repeat.
Yeah.
Just like you're saying, is what we're seeing. And yeah, Swaif has to disengage with the ultimate, which is a heartbreaking situation. Given that that second dragon has just become available, and that could have been a potential situation for them to play towards right an early soul point. Say, look, we can give up these lanes, but at least we have an objective that works in our favor. We're going to check in with the top side now, so we can actually see how that 1v1 took place, and it just looks like Clear initiating with a favorable health advantage.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think he has enough juice in the tank there, but there you go, Clear. Really making his stamp of authority on this game, and the last couple of weeks, Claire's getting better, right? Like, you know, he's had some very big performances, and all of a sudden, looked like a shaky lane to start it off, but he's taken over completely now, and it has all been in isolation. Now, granted, Liv did teleport very early on for one of those dragons, but, you know, for the most part, Claire up 15 CS, up 1 kill. You have to be very happy with that if you're a Claire fan.
Without a doubt, and it just continues, as we said before, right? The development of his playstyle in the top lane. You know, many people have said, oh, you know, bit of an R1 trick. He played it a lot, found comfort on it. Good reason to as well, given that it's strong in the meta right now. But if he has that arsenal of assassins in his back pocket too, starting to see maybe a little bit of resemblance of his time as a mid laner, likes of Akali's and Biners and getting in your face and being the showmaker.
That's the first time Gunkrab's had to burn his teleport 14 minutes in. The first time he's been forced to use it to get back to lane. And honestly, at that point, he probably didn't even need to use it. But I think he used it because he values the priority, values getting the wave under turret, and putting the pressure on the Ezreal. Ezreal has no mana, and so teleporting back to lane forces Ezreal to take a reset in a point in which he's going to lose something, right? Whether that's the tower, whether that's minions, we'll have to wait and see. But it's just a little play that gives them a more of a gold advantage, and it's going to be a big one.
It is, and I mean, just take a quick stock check of the map right now, especially bottom half of it. Look how much vision is in these brushes. That is single-handedly representing how scared Chiefs have been of the engage potential that the Direwolves have. Cupcake's been, you know, completely unlocked, able to roam the map and assist elsewhere, and yeah, maybe Sway pops his head in. They say, well, he's bot side, let's go for the Herald.
Yeah, and I mean, it's also partly because Skimmy, Cupcake hasn't had to lane. After the 2v2 kill, he doesn't have to be bot lane anymore. You actually can't punish as a Galio and an Ezreal. How do you get on Sivir? The Galio engage is so predictable. It's just linear. It's all straight line.
And we saw that spell shield to cancel it already, right?
Exactly. And so you just ricochet boomerang the wave with an Essence Reaver. The minion wave's gone nowhere near your turret. And the Alistair just lanes mid. And then Kisei can't do anything with the summoner spell advantage that he had because Shock's just being babysat. And yeah, it is what, a 7 CS lead? That really means, it does mean nothing. Because at the end of the day, Shock's going to be up golden. Oh, wow. I think maybe a misplay? I think we're going to pencil that one in as a misplay. Swaith maybe knocked back a minion, or I'm not sure about that interaction there.
Well, either way, he locked one in place, disengaged away, and it just continues to waste time. You've already mentioned how hard it's been for him to play with these lanes not working in their favor, with them having no agency to try and step up and gank or even find objective fights, and just giving Direwolves free run of the map to lay down their own priority and own ideas and say, vision here, gank angle there, and this is what we're playing for.
Yeah, and it's just like off cooldown, like clockwork. Swaith just keeps losing jungle camps, and you can make the argument that if he's playing a tankier champion, which he has opted in for the chem tank, but if he's playing a champion that's a designated tank, it doesn't mean so much. But Hecarim still, even with this build, needs gold, needs items, needs levels, needs EXP. Like, it just needs it all. And there's an engage.
There is an engage. It's going to start with Liv trying to drift into the river, as you point out. Not going to find that moment. Direwolves just run away. No real intent to fight that one. They've baited at the TP first of all. Kisei's committed, but they've scurried off, and they just continue to take map pressure.
Yeah, I really don't like seeing that, because what engages like that say to me is panic. And there we go. See the interaction with the Zoe bubble? Yeah. So Yone gets slept. You're able to use the E to basically negate any of that. So this might be clear going down here though.
Where does have his flash, doesn't have his ultimate this time, but hits the hook shot, flashes out of the onslaught, still gets feared, but feared at least to his own turret. And Ignite is committed again, and back-to-back ganks towards this man, and he lives again.
Yeah, weak side Camille angle, where he's doing very well to survive. You know, he's doing very well to be up CS at this point and have no casualties. So Claire having a very good game. I mean, we've talked about it before, talked about it again. Definitely a player that we've highlighted for, very early on, we highlighted for all of the wrong reasons, right? I was his biggest critic very early on in terms of the performances he was putting up. Partly because, you know, he made his name in OS as being one of the best players regardless of region, just in terms of mechanical gameplay, in terms of smarts, and just having those big carry performances. So, you know, for a spectator or a lover of League of Legends in Oceania, it's really good to see him have some of these performances, and he might actually pick up a solo kill here.
He's certainly looking for it right now. There is no ultimate, there is no ghost. He's trying to charge away, but he gets soloed out here by Claire. Juice, this just continues it. The pressure, the presence, and the vision. Direwolves know exactly what they want to do and what they're willing to sacrifice.
Yeah, and that's the perfect kind of explanation, right? It's they know what they're willing to sacrifice. Direwolves aren't not losing things, but when they lose, they gain something back somewhere else that's just as much, you know. Killing the Hecarim there not only nets you the dragon, but it nets you another wave push into the bot side of the map. If you look at Shock right now, he's able to get that wave under tower, no jungler on the map to die anywhere else, so it just relieves so much pressure and gives Direwolves the angle to push any lane that they want.
You can see it's causing panic amongst the ranks of the Chiefs, right, as to how do they want to respond, because they're fighting pressure top side, they're fighting pressure bot side, they can't even step up to the wave to even get the XP.
Yeah, it's just all minions dying. For what? Like, Yone and Sion are sitting in the same lane together. Draku's warding the Baron buff, or the Baron that's not up yet, but then you just got the duo in mid lane now, so it is just a shame to see minion waves dying like that, but it also just comes down to how well Direwolves are playing and, you know, generating pressure topside, which leads to losses in bot side, and really a thing of beauty at the moment.
So let's talk about it then. In terms of, you know, a lot of these lanes, sure, there are advantages found between Gunkrab and Claire and so on, but, you know, you've been talking about this interaction here for Kisei, knowing how strong the Yone pick can be, and one that he's shown already some solid proficiency. Are we looking at a situation now where you're contesting a soul point, waiting for a Baron spawn play to say, all right, we're all in on this to try and break up this 5k deficit?
Look, in terms of us, in terms of relative scaling, you would have to say that the Direwolves win in the scaling department. Like, if you made a neutral game, gave everyone 500 CS, and Draku might be caught here.
Looking to be the case. Flash actually committed there from Cupcake, as it looked like a bit of an overreach. Nonetheless, TP's here. Liv's coming in, trying to force a fight on their terms. This is what I'm referring to. The ultimate to snapshot him in. The backline target by the Hecarim. Cupcake falls on down. Ultimate burnt. And Hellfire expired. It's a one-man taunt. Only in trouble. Flashing out of harm's way. The stun would have hit. Sun could have got there, but now Claire, level 13. Ultimate to boot. Looking to try and cancel out some animations of his own and looking to try and put on a bit of carry performance. Snapshots asleep again. Dirty interaction between the Yone and Zoe. And that's the first, I suppose, quote-unquote 5v5 we've seen.
Yeah, and, you know, it is only 4,000 gold, but the point I wanted to make before that, and, you know, maybe he doesn't want to give chickens up again. But he had to. He had to. He lost the chickens. Yeah, the point I wanted to make was that, you know, if you made it just a dead even game, or not even a dead even game, but you just gave everyone 500 CS, Chiefs composition, sure, it's nice, but they're not going to have enough damage, or the Direwolves will just have too much damage on the Siva, on the Camille, and they'll be able to win either through the side lane or through a team fight. Yeah. And so Chiefs really need to close this gold gap quickly as he snaps back. I like that analogy that you used there. Snaps back. Chiefs really need to kind of start picking up some team fight wins, start getting some of these dragons, potentially turn that into an early Baron, because, you know, if you leave Gunkrab to just farm to his devices, I don't care who you are, you're not going to beat a 500 CS Siva that's ricocheting in a team fight.
Well, let's see what it looks like if we have another potential skirmish angle here. Out goes Kisei. Now he's out of the fight. Draco isolated on his own 1v4, forced to flash away to the safety of his own mid-tier 2. True shot barrage, an extra deterrent, as Chiefs trying to say, let us have at least some CS here. Give us the XP, give us maybe a little bit of our own jungle control back. But that really is my sort of my question here, Jubes, more than anything. If Direwolves continue to play at this current pace and style, it feels like the big burden is on Chiefs to say, we need to do something. We need to group up as 5. This is 50-50, because if we do and the play fails, then hey, look, maybe Claire's on the bottom half of the map, you know, split pushing, you know, an inhib. So yeah, I start to wonder, you know, how do Chiefs really force that fight to get themselves in?
Well, we can see that, right? We see that from how they're playing the game now. They're trying to force fights, albeit some there, some aren't there, but they're trying to make things happen because I think they realize that they're on a little bit of a clock, right? You know, you still have the Yone, you still have, you know, the Ezreal, and you got the beefy front line.
Yeah.
But, you know, the beauty about Siva is that front line or not, the ricochets are going to end up in the back line. And so Chiefs are being a little more proactive in terms of trying to find fights, but the best way to find a fight or the best way to bring someone to the fight is just fighting over a neutral objective. Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Chiefs set up here for this dragon, you know, on spawn and opt in for the fight. But again, we've seen this so many times. Shock on this Zoe just completely controls the dragon or the river. You know, how many times have we said his name at a dragon fight that Direwolves need to win? Yeah. This being one of them.
I mean, if you can get some sizable poke off before this fight even starts, they just win this 4v5, quite honestly. Camille bot side pushing that turret, as we mentioned only moments before. He's got TP. And this is the panic for Chiefs, right? They have to group up as 5. They don't want to sacrifice it because it continues to be that 5k lead that the Direwolves have. But they're flirting with them, baiting them from bot to mid to bot to mid and saying, you just have no agency to be anywhere.
Yeah, and this is the problem. Liv doesn't have teleport. So you have like the worst case scenario now. And Liv can't really go catch that bot wave because no TP. Claire can go back down there if he likes because he has teleport. And as you say all that, Liv just takes half of his health in poke. So all of a sudden your tank's not really your tank anymore. And you want to start a 5v5 where you're at a gold deficit and at a health deficit too.
Well, there's the ultimate.
Yes.
They're looking to try and fully commit to the backline here on Shock. Shock's managed to survive up to 50%. Clear just takes out Israel straight away. The AD carry of the Chiefs is gone. It's a split fight between 2 different angles. Swaif is disengaged into the enemy jungle, and the rest of Chiefs are left to the Wolves. The Wolfpack will commit, the Wolfpack will devour, and the Wolfpack will take you down. It's a 3-for-nothing trade. Gold lead or not, this is a team doing a little bit of angry gaming.
I mean, usually it's easy in a team fight that's won to point fingers and say, oh, a little bit of BM there. It's easy in a team fight to point fingers and say, oh, you know, this person carried, that person carried. But, I mean, in that fight there, from Direwolves, every single person did their job. Claire on the back end picked up the kill on Imboma. Gunkrab on the front, on the backside was able to just do so much damage. And Shock was the one who just won the fight before it even started. So, you know, and Swaith might die just for the blue buff. So have to wait and see.
A horrible spot to find yourself in. The blue buff gets denied. The vision continues to work in their favor. Dragon, now sitting on Soul Point, turns it into a Baron with the respawn time as being so high. And you talk about jungle control, it just doesn't belong to you. Claire's just going to take away your red buff too and add insult to injury.
Yeah, and I mean, like, now we just talk about level differential. So, normally, and I'll hold that thought for the replay, okay? But watch this. Hecarim dives on in, Sion dives on in. No damage onto Gunkrab whatsoever, doing too much damage, and Ezreal ends up dying first. And he's completely just a 2v3 on the back end. Like, it's Claire and Cupcake that get the kills. And then, you know, Yone does his best. But no one falls down for the side of Direwolves. And quite frankly, Skimmy, not even close.
It felt to be that way. I mean, just some of the interactions watching that fight back, the fact that Claire jumps in, the taunt immediately getting channeled there from Draku, the Hextech ultimatum buffering that one, so there was just no protection afforded for Mboma. Falls on down before the fight even begins, and you know, Swift trying to go for the one shot on their own, on the opposition's AD carry, but unable to find that moment. Well, that 5k gold lead rapidly dissolved into a 10k. And with the Baron buff still hot and heavy, they can no doubt look to try and find themselves that map pressure that grants them the inhibitor to open up the floodgates.
Yeah, and now it's a field day. I've never played Zoe, but I would imagine this is like a Zoe's dream, a game like this, and Claire's just diving Yone. Did you say only there?
No, I could see them zoning on the sideline, but I'm having too much fun watching the Alistair get it done, slamming his fist on the keyboard there.
We probably don't get a replay for it. Ooh. Yeah, we probably don't get a replay, but we're only standing now. He tried flashing the wall, and he flashed into the wall.
It's happened to the best of them. We saw that from Parbu the other week, right, on Graves.
Oh, yeah, I did say that.
We can laugh that one off.
If it's good enough for Parbu, it's good enough for me.
Hey, for sure. The standard, the jungle standard.
Look at the levels. 16 on Gunkrab, 16 on Claire, and it's what happens when you sack waves, and probably just going to force an engage. But there's no engage to be seen, because when you don't get ahead with Chiefs comp, it's all backline, right? In the sense that the only way that you fight, there's no like hard commit button. It's a Hecarim alter into Galio, but there's no stick. So Sivir can run out of that, right? And if Sivir can run out of that, you can get peeled out of it, and like I'm pretty sure Claire's even just going to make it out.
And you go for the 1v3 right now. Well, he's taking down one of them, and he's not going to try and compose himself that highlight reel. Another member shows up topside, hits the stopwatch, buying time for the rotation, going to get knocked up, put to the side, can he live? He's doing everything he can, buffers it with the passive. He is living, but finally gets shut down by Kesse, who snaps back to the safety of his own turret. The rest of the Chiefs, however, have their eyes set on a second kill. Cupcake will take down Israel. Jubes, what are we watching right now?
Oh, wow. Baron minions, he's doing it. Hang on. Oh, no, he falls down, but Shock's here. Oh, okay, get out of there, Draku. There we go. A little bit of a, what do we call that, a team fight win? A little bit of a team fight win there for the Chiefs, or not even a team fight, but a skirmish.
Skirmish.
It wasn't even a win. They lost 2 inhibitors, but you got to be optimistic. Here we go. Yes.
Oh no. Oh Oh no, delete the evidence.
I love how he stood still as well. Like, he didn't just miss the flash and get on with his business. He also pressed S because, you know, what else is there to do at that point? You're just laughing in comms. You know, you're 12k up, flashing into a wall. There's nothing left to do besides stand there and just say, I'm sorry, guys.
Happens to the best of us, and yeah, hit the button, laugh it off, and continue the domination. It really has been that way, right? You know, the Winions, if you will, getting their 2 cents worth of the action, getting to punch on and the top side wave. 20 seconds, and there's that soul point to play for. And with all these waves pushed against them, with all the vision continuing to be Direwolves favoured, it's only that starts things off. Out goes the taunt, 2 people locked in place. What can they do? Only looking to run away, only surviving. Finally falls on down, but Thudita picks up that kill. Doing everything he can as they trade out junglers. And now in a straight 4v4, Kisse on the flank trying to take out Claire. Beautiful flash! Sidesteps that one. He's been playing weak side all game long, but he wants to be the hero, and he certainly looks to be the hero. Hits the hook shot, gets the stun, knocked up in the air, tries to take down a double, he finds it! Kisse has to settle for picking up a kill from the grave, but the Direwolves at 30 minutes into this one, Jubes, are looking to end this one with a dub.
This might be a game here, Skimmy, and a bit of a statement game if you're a Direwolves fan. You know, we talked about them sometimes hiccuping in the mid game and giving their team, or the team that they're versing, a chance to come back into it, but they've really just silenced the doubters, including myself. They've really just picked up a clean win against the Chiefs and set pretty much a gap between, you know, what we would call the top 3 and the rest of the team in the playoffs. So Chiefs with a lot to work on, but Direwolves, what a game.
What a game, and a clean game at that. Your final game in the regular season as you get yourself amped up and ready for those best of 5s next week. A big win and a big moment, I suppose, Jubes, to continue to talk about this narrative as to really what is the separation between these teams. You know, Pentanet, nobody can touch them. Immortal, 13-0. Peace and Direwolves, maybe in that same kind of discussion as even. But then from the Chiefs and Order, where do they fare?
Well, I mean, I thought that would answer it for us. And I think it did in the sense that, you know, there is a little bit of a top 3, then potentially, is it Chiefs or Order that slot into that, you know, 4th position now? Yeah. Because Order have had some games where they look really good, you know, famously taking a win off of the Direwolves. And all of it just really does spice up the playoffs run, because if there's one thing that I know, Skimmy, is like, come playoffs time, rankings, ratings, standings, they mean nothing. They mean nothing once the nerves are on and teams really are playing under the lights, if you will.
Certainly, I'll be playing off those lights. And Mac, what did you think about that one? It was a bit sweaty, bit of action going on. You know, I'm feeling it here on the forehead, but how about yourself there, mate?
It was, you know, in this area it is currently a little bit humid, you know, if you want the weather report. But I'll give you the, I guess, you know, I just can't bloody believe production did Only dirty. That was, I'm sitting on the sidelines. I love Only, mate. And they gave him the zoom. They gave him the replay. Oh, my God. So worth it, though. You know, good,
we're talking about the replay of the Flash?
Yes, we're talking about the replay of the Flash. That is something I cannot believe we did. But look, as you mentioned, he did press S and he just completely wrote it out. But look, it was such a great game. It was pretty even, you know, going through the mid part of the game. There was, you know, all these picks coming Direwolves' way. Oh, and can we just give a shout out to Claire? Outplays all damn game. It looks like he's finally found his champion.
Yeah, I mean, he's had, well, I mean, his champion or his lane, because I would have said his champion was the Nah, but now he's just had a blinder against good opposition on the Camille. So, you know, he's also had a good game on the Renekton too, if I remember correctly. So he's starting to just put good games together in general, let alone champion. So welcome to top lane, I would say.
Far out. I mean, for me, you know, you had that moment of worry where you're thinking Lived is taking him down in such a commanding situation. How's that gone against him? He hits the TP back top side, gets himself a 20 CS lead, quite healthy, then gets ganked on repeat as Chiefs are finding moments of desperation where we need to get a kill somewhere, we need to try and stem the bleeding at least one lane. But he was convincingly baiting up attention, 1v2, 1v3, and in many cases getting kills too. So, I mean, for me, I can't be happier for him.
Look, can I just point out as well, I don't think that there was a point where I saw Gunkrab in danger. Maybe like right at the start of the game in one of those first engagements. But then other than that, he's got that $700 gold bounty on his head, and it just never looked like that was ever going to be found by Chiefs because he was just so far in the back line, just dropping Qs, dropping ricochets. That was it. And I like, there was a few points where, you know, Chiefs did go for that 5v5, and they only managed to come out with 1 kill, obviously getting chipped down, didn't want to overextend and get wiped up because Gunkrab's just sitting there going, look, come at me, boys. It's going to happen if you come. And it just never happened. So, look, all things considered, you guys did mention, you know, a lot of heavy AD on the Chiefs side of things. Do you think that might have been their downfall?
I wouldn't say necessarily their downfall, but I mean, it's just a contributing factor. There's a few things that contribute to this game in particular, and I think you were doing a disservice to the Direwolves, but also a disservice to yourself if you just solely focus on draft.
Yeah.
Because for me, the main part of this game, the main problem was lane gap. Like, they just got gapped bot lane, but that then transitioned into Alistar, Cupcake on the Alistar just sitting mid all game, and so Kisei is just playing a 1v2 lane. So there's like all these fundamental problems that then lead into a bigger picture problem, which, you know, we could really just say, oh, you maybe lost draft. Like, you lost draft. But then you don't learn anything from it. You don't give credit to the Direwolves, and then what are you doing, right? So
I'm just trying to, you know, pick apart, like, what's going on with the Chiefs, you know, what Direwolves are doing well. You know, we've sung Direwolves some praises. We've also done Direwolves a little bit dirty with only as well, so let's not forget that. And I think there was, like, literally one fight where it went from, like, a 4K gold lead straight to a 10K gold lead as well, because off the back of it, they got both Dragon and Baron. That was completely crazy. And look, Nat, what are your thoughts on this game? Because that was surely an exciting one for you.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty decisive victory, I think. There's no doubt about it that Direwolves have come into full form, I think. So
yeah, doing a very good job today. So who do you have to chat to for the winner's interview?
I'm going to be talking to the one and only person that you guys did dirty. That's going to be Only. Thank you so much for joining me, and congratulations on the win. I would have to say that was a pretty dominant showing from you guys. I want to ask firstly, though, Shock said in the pre-game that one thing you were worried about is potentially, you know, giving away the lead or making just small little mistakes in openings for the Chiefs to get back into the game. Do you think there were any moments that happened during the game that could have fallen that way?
Nah, not really. That game was pretty, like, from jungle perspective, it was pretty boring. It was like Hecarim versus Udo, which is like a pure skill expression jungle matchup, Hehe XD. It's just like two tanks, like, just headbutting each other. Like, it's just, I think that benefits us more than it benefits the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs need Swaith on one of his, like, carry picks. This is, like, very comfortable for me to play like a Udo versus Hecarim matchup. So, like, and it showed in the gameplay. Like, it was just such a slow-paced game. I don't think the guys were, like, really sweating. We were actually having a laugh. So it was, yeah, it was a pretty, it was a pretty chill game.
That is good to hear. I mean, there's no other game that you want to be closing out the regular season. But talk me through the game a little bit more from, like, the communications perspective in the team and everyone else, how they were feeling during it.
The communication, yeah, it was really calm. The game was really slow paced. I think we all got champs. We were really comfortable playing. It was just a good time, you know. I mean, the difference between, like, second and third place isn't like that big of a deal. So I don't think anyone was, like, really, like, sweating for the win, and, like, we still need, like, peace to lose as well. So it's, like, not really in our control. But yeah, the comms were cool, calm, collected. It was relaxed, and it was a lot of fun. Wait, did you guys see my... Wait, I shouldn't talk about it. Did you see my flash? You didn't, right?
Yeah, well, actually, okay. I was going to say, I did get whispered in my ear from production to ask you about this. We did see it. They did do you a little dirty. They did the replay and everything. So we want to know
they did not replay
more about it from your...
I'm sad. That just ruined
We
my
want to
night.
know... Yeah, we want to... We want to know about it from your point of view. What was going through your head? Why did it play out how it did?
Sometimes the flash just doesn't go your way. It was a very fat wall, and I want to say I fat fingered and misclicked, but I didn't. I genuinely tried to flash over the wall and I failed. So then I just S-keyed and hit the laugh emoji. Like, I don't know what to do after I failed that flash. I'm just useless. So yeah, BL, better luck next time.
Look, it's something that hopefully won't be happening in the playoffs. But the last question I want to ask you is, how are you guys feeling moving from best of ones into best of fives now?
Really good. I think this is definitely a comfort zone for myself and a lot of my teammates. More opportunity to, like, learn on the day. Like you don't just lose and then like you have to wait to verse that team, you know, like 2 weeks later or whatever. It's like you can like learn, adapt, and you get like another 4 chances to get the win. So yeah, feeling really confident. I actually just really enjoy best of 5s in general. So like, yeah, I'm super keen and I'm really excited.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. Congratulations again, and I'm excited to see you for the best of 5s.
Thanks, guys. GG.
Oh, the innocence. The innocence. He didn't know. He
I
didn't know we
know.
did the replay. Oh,
Yeah,
he's-
I actually feel really bad now bringing it up, telling him, and then he's like, that's just ruined my night.
The fact that he went to bring it up is like, did you see my... Wait, no, I'm not going to talk about it. We're like, oh, we were just talking about it. Anyway, look, that is a very good way to end things here. So congratulations only for the W, even if you did fail in some other categories today. But look, let's move forward. It's time to get into match 2 of the day. Pentanet and Gravitas coming up just after this break.
To the back line here on Shock. Shock's managed to survive up to 50%. Clear just takes out Israel straight away. The Eddie carry of the Chiefs is gone. It's a split fight between 2 different angles. Swaif is disengaged into the enemy jungle, and the rest of Chiefs are left to the Wolves. The Wolfpack will commit. The Wolfpack will devour. Off. Ad goes to Tall. 2 people locked in place. What can they do? Only looking to run away. Only surviving.
Shiva.
Finally falls on down, but Foodie picks up the kill.